Today, our featured instructor is Lonnie Nada. And this morning, like I say, we heard from Pharrell Williams and his song Happy, and that was chosen because of Lonnie. It seems like she and Final, they go all over the country. I've seen them how often in Salt Lake, just knowing that they've got to be hours later in Nevada. And I've seen them hosting things in Hawaii. I've not had the pleasure of being there with their events, but it's neat to see them on the calendar. They must just be busy as bees. But wherever they go, Lonnie shows up with a great big smile, with positive energy, and we're happy to have her here this morning. Lonnie, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Ron.
You bet. Let me hand the controls over. We're going to make you host. All right. Thanks so much, Lonnie.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. I apologize. I'm not really feeling good, but my voice sounds really, really bad. So I'm just going to share my presentation. Give me just a second. Can you guys see my screen?
It looks great, Lonnie.
All right, cool. So today I want to train a little bit on the 5 levels of leadership. I don't know how many of you guys have been able to read that book. I really love talking about leadership. It identifies a lot of things that you as a person and owner of your own business on where you're at. And so I'm going to be training today on the 5 levels of leadership. And in the 5 levels of leadership, you're going to be able to learn the upside of the levels and the downside of the levels and the best behaviors for those levels and the belief that will help a leader move up to the next level, and also how the levels relate to the laws of leadership. If you already are familiar with the laws of leadership, your understanding will be enhanced by seeing how they fit in the 5 levels. So give me just a second, sorry. There's also, so at level 1, we're going to start with level 1. Level 1 is positional. So position is the lowest level of leadership. It's the entry level. The only influence a positional leader has is that which comes from a job title, right? People follow because they have to. A positional leadership is based on the rights granted by the position and a title. Nothing is wrong with having a leadership position. Everything is wrong with using position to get people to follow. So position is a poor substitute for influence. And people who make it to level 1 are either bosses or managers, and they never really lead. They're not leaders, right? So they have subordinates, not team members. They rely on rules, regulations, policies, and organization charts to control their people. Their people will only follow them within the stated boundaries of their authority. And their people will usually do only what is required of them, not what's expected, only what's required. And when positional leaders ask for extra effort or time, they rarely get it. Rarely. Okay? Positional leaders usually have difficulty working with volunteers or younger people and highly educated people as well. And why is that? It's because positional leaders have no kind of influence. They're the types of people who tend to be more independent. And position is the only level that does not require ability and effort to achieve. Anyone can be appointed to this position and level. So that's what a positional level 1 leader is. They have the rights. So let's go to level 2. Level 2 is based entirely on relationships. A permission level, people follow because they want to, not because they have to. That's a difference with a permission When you like people and treat them like individuals who have value, you begin to develop influence with them. And then you also develop trust. The environment becomes much more positive, whether you're at home, on the job, at play, or while volunteering. The agenda for leaders on level 2 isn't preserving their position. It's not about their position. It's getting to know their people and figuring out how to get along with them. Leaders find out who their people are on level 2, and then the followers find out who their leaders are. People build solid, long-lasting relationships at this level. You can like people without leading them, but you cannot lead them. You cannot lead people well without liking them. That's what level 2 is about. So level 2 leadership. You can like people without leading them, but you cannot lead them without liking them. So you guys can notice some of these things in your own organization or your team, or even the leaders that you're following. At what level are they at? That's why I'm going over the levels so that you could understand a little bit more into detail. Okay, so level 3 is production. One of the dangers of getting to the permission level is that a leader may be tempted to stop there. But good leaders don't just create a pleasant working environment. They get things done. That's why they must move up to level 3, which is based on solely results. Their momentum picks up at level 3. You're actually able to take on problems, face issues head on, and not run from it. You're able to go through the process. This is where the process really begins as a leader. And many positive things begin happening when you're at this level. Work gets done, morale improves, profits go up, turnovers go down, and goals are achieved. At level 3, the momentum definitely picks up and productivity increases. And this is the level where some of us, you've seen some of the leaders start picking up their momentum, start getting recognition. And this is the level that most people get to. And this is where it gets really exciting at level 3. Now at level 4, we're going to be talking about people development. Leaders become great not because of power, but because of their ability to empower others. This is where you duplicate. This is reproduction. You don't use your position, at all at this level. And they use their position, relationships, productivity to invest in their people and develop them until their people become leaders in their own ways and their own rights. So the result is reproduction. So that's why that's what reproduction is. It's duplication, right? They develop and reproduce themselves. They develop people, and those people become champions and in the business or whatever that they do. They take in 2 things always happen on level 4. First, teamwork goes to a very high level. Why? Because the high investment in people deepens relationships and helps people to know one another better and strengthen their loyalty. Second, performance increases. Why? Because there are more leaders on the team and they help to improve everybody's performance. Level 4 leaders change the lives of the people that they lead. They change the lives of the people they lead. And accordingly, their people follow them because of what their leaders have done for them personally. And their relationships are often lifelong, right? They last long. I don't know how many of you guys have noticed with your growth in this business, as long as you've been in this business, if you recognize the people that have helped you to get to where you're at, you'll know what level they're at as time goes on. You'll notice that. So leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. They're coaching and they're coachable. You're able to learn from those level 4 leaders. Level 4 leaders also, they're respectful and pleasant, and they're people you can really go to and talk to about, some of the things that you struggle with in business. So most leaders don't do it because it takes too much work, and sometimes they get to a level where they stop at this. They stop reproducing, and then that holds them back. So level 4, we don't do that. We reproduce, we duplicate. Level 5 is pinnacle. That's the highest and most difficult level of leadership. And it requires not only effort, skill, and intentionality, but high levels of talent. They develop people to become level 4 leaders, and they create opportunities that other leaders don't. Sorry. All right. So I'm going to give some insights into the level 5, insights into the 5 levels of leadership. So you can move up a level, but you never leave the previous ones behind, right? You never leave the previous one behind. Here's an example of what the leadership looks like and the position. So level 1 is position, and then level 2 is permission. Level 3 is production. Level 4 is people development. Level 5 is pinnacle. Keywords are on the left, and then on the right side explains a little bit more in detail. Now that you've seen the levels and learned the basics about them, you may assume that a leader climbs them, leaving one to arrive at the next, similar to the way one moves up a staircase. But the truth is that you never leave a level behind after you've achieved it. Instead, you simply build upon it. If you think about it for a moment, you'll agree that it makes sense. If you start out with a leadership position and you build relationships with people you oversee, do you resign your position to do so? You don't, right? So you don't leave your position to advance. But if you win level 2 correctly, you never need to rely on your position again. Right? Once you've built relationships with people and move to a higher level of productivity, do you abandon or neglect those relationships? No, we don't, right? You move. If you do, you'll never find yourself back at level 1 again, right? So leaders don't trade one level for another. They add a new level to the previous one. It's a building process. It definitely is a building process. And then, you're not on the same level with every person. Leadership is dynamic, and it changes from relationship to relationship. So the same is true for the 5 levels of leadership. I may be on a different level, a different one on the 5 levels of leadership with each person on my team. But someone will always be, if you're at a level 4, all the people you're leading are either below you or not at that level where you're at. And the reason why you want to identify the 5 levels of leadership is because when you understand where you're at or where the people you're following are at, it helps you to know how to engage with the people that you're working with to become leaders. I was listening to a training with John Maxwell, because he's the one that wrote this book, and a lot of things in this 5 levels of leadership helped me to identify the types of leaders we have, and who I want to work with, and who I want to follow and listen to. I know a lot of you guys probably heard the teachability index that Michael Huggins talks about, and being able to be coachable is one of the things. As a leader, I feel you should always have a skill set to be able to be coachable. If your team can't be able to follow in your example and they are inspired by you, they don't just want to follow you because of your position. They want to follow you because they see something in you that they have themselves. And that's why I really, really like leadership, learning more about leadership and the different things of growing into becoming that leader. So I want to ask you guys where you guys see yourselves in your business, and what's holding you back as a leader. Because if you have a team, or if you don't have a team, what are some of the things you're doing to lead your team? And what's important to you, and what's your vision? Do you have a clear understanding of how you want to lead your team? And have you made time to really get to know what their goals are? So one of the things that I want to talk about is, hold on. Okay, it's about level 4. Level 4 leadership. Leadership is production is not enough. I want to talk about this. Leading a productive team is quite an accomplishment, and achieving goals can be very rewarding, but there are higher levels of leadership than just getting work done effectively and adding to the bottom line. What's better than excellence at your work and high productivity for your team is developing people so that they can lead with you. Great leaders measure themselves by what they get done through others. And that requires developing people in a leadership culture. That is a focus of leaders on level 4. So for many years, some people can be just stuck at a certain level and not really growing. But for me, I think your belief is what helps you move up in different levels, your belief in yourself. So what kind of activities and what kind of things do you do to create that for yourself, to bump yourself up a level? I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the self-confidence formula. I know Denver, you folks probably are very familiar with that. But my husband and I, we really lean on each other in leading our teams. And, one of the things we do daily to help us is reading the self-confidence formula. And there's something about when you're saying that out loud and you're doing it daily. And so I've challenged some people on my team, on my direct team, to take on the challenge to say the self-confidence formula every day out loud to somebody. Me and Finau do it every day, and it's crazy because I remember in the beginning when we first started saying and reading it out loud to each other, you didn't really feel that belief behind it. And as the days were going by, and every time we would get up and read the self-confidence formula to each other, we started to get excited about it, and I started reading it a little bit different. And so has my husband, and it just gets to a point where you really become one with that person. Your attitude changes, and all the little things that you do in your business, whether it's small acts of reading self-confidence formulas or listening to self-development or reading an Audible, this is where you actually take yourself to the next level. Because if you start out in this business, you have mindset that was not where most people that are business owners are at, right? They start at the beginning level, entry level. And, you have a lot of things that hold you back in your business. And we don't want you to feel like you can hold yourself back. So the only way to break through a lot of that is to really invest time in yourself, change that mindset, and do different things that other people don't do. Activities like reading the self-confidence formula, getting up in the morning and saying affirmations, whatever makes you happy. It'll help you to develop yourself and the way you think and the way you perceive and the way you react. When you speak to people, you have to understand that comes from also the habits and the way that you've been living. And it tells a lot about who you are. It tells a lot about who you are when you react and then the way you talk. So as you guys all know, I didn't have the best upbringing. I wasn't raised where I was able to have a lot of great education. And so as I started growing in this business, I realized where I'm at and the types of people that I'm surrounding myself with by identifying the 5 different levels of leadership and where people are and how I can help them. And so if they're at a production level, what kinds of activities I need to help them to create, right? And so when I was at level 1, I'm sure my trainers and my mentors were at a different level, and they also knew how to connect with me to bring me up to the next level. And I want you guys to be able to identify that with yourself, becoming aware with where you're at and being responsible for yourself. And then it will automatically show, and other people will be inspired. Everybody's story is different. Nobody's story is the same, but There's some people that will connect with you and some people that won't, right? And that's what's the beauty of running your own business and being a business owner. And leadership is important. Leadership is definitely important when you're creating your own organization and being able to develop skill sets and all that fun stuff. So that's a little bit of my training for today. I apologize because my voice I'm not really feeling well, but I wanted to be able to share with you guys some of the stuff that I like about leadership. I'm going to open the call for any of you guys to share your takeaways. And if you guys have any questions, what you guys are going through, feel free to jump on the line. We have a few minutes. We can go over some things.
Lonnie, what's the thing that you're talking about that you repeat in the morning?
Oh, the self-confidence formula.
Yeah, where found?
It is, hold on. You know what? I'm going to put it up on here. If you Google it, it's on there. It's sorry. Self-confidence formula is on Google, but hold on. I don't know how many of you guys have read it. How many of you guys are familiar with it?
I've read it. I'm familiar with it. This is Geraldine.
Hey, Geraldine.
Hi. Hey, I know you mentioned Denver in that, and as far as like what we do, because we here as well. And I'm not in the habit yet of reading that every morning. I applaud you and Fanau for doing that. I do have it taped up on my closet door, so I see it every day. But I'm now going to take the initiative and make that a commitment that I read it every day. What we've done here in Denver to kind of develop leadership is we've implemented personal development into our Super Saturdays. And then every Monday team call, one of the topics touches on leadership and personal development techniques. And I'm being reminded now that adding this self-confidence formula to that would be a great thing to do. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing the 5 levels of leadership. It's really important to stay in tune with that. So thanks.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Geraldine. Crazy thing is, we actually just started a week and a half ago doing the self-confidence formula, but within a week and a half, I mean, I've seen like some of the belief in my husband, his confidence level going up because he's reading this consistently. And we carry it around on our phone. And when it was funny on Saturday when we had my nephew's game, there's a point in the day in that time period where we were on the field, I wasn't feeling it. And I was like, dude, I need to read this because I'm feeling really crappy right now. And so my husband and I, we went to the car, but we read it to each other. And just like small things like that, personal development definitely is important. We do that a lot with our direct team. We do training. I love to do one-on-one with my direct team because when they have things that I can help them with and they're struggling with, I get to help coach them through that process, not mentor them. And the difference between mentoring and coaching is coaching, you're actually drawing it out from them. You're asking the right questions to have them answer it and figure it out for themselves. That's awakening them, right? And you empower them by doing that, not really mentoring and telling them what to do. Mentoring is different from coaching. And as leaders in your organization, you guys are not going to don't take away from that experience from your people on your team. You got to watch them grow and allow them to grow. So thank you so much for sharing, Geraldine.
You're welcome. Thank you for this sharing that you're doing today.
You're welcome. All right, folks, come on. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share?
Lonnie, it's Ron Heyer. Hey, I
Hey,
just want to say thanks again for your teaching today. And I really, the golden nugget I picked up was this has to be a daily self-improvement regime. It just has to become part of our lives.
Definitely does. You know, becoming a leader is not something that's just, it's a daily thing. You have to ingrain that you become a better person. So definitely training on leadership is important to me because I help people to be responsible, and as a leader you want to find these qualities in people that you want to follow, right? So it starts with you. And when you're able to identify and become responsible for yourself, you're aware of how you're being, and you take responsibility for the energy you bring into a room. People follow, people see it, people feel it, and people get started with you first, right? They get started with who you are first before they ever buy a product. They always get started with who you are. So if you're not ever changing the way you are and the way you think and the way you feel consistently on a daily basis, you're never going to grow in this business. You're never going to get the results you want in this business. And so sometimes it means doing what works for you, not doing what works for everybody else. It's doing what works for you first. You become a great leader. Thanks, Ron.
Hey, it's me again, Geraldine. I just realized I have the self-confidence formula in a PDF that I'd be happy to post to both Denver and Salt Lake City GroupMe. I don't think I'm part of Las Vegas GroupMe, so but I'll get it into Utah's at least, and maybe you can copy it from there for Las Vegas.
Well, I will. I'll definitely put it on our Facebook group. So,
Okay.
thank you, Geraldine. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is, like, you know, helping others to do well and giving them the tools. All of you guys are business owners in your own organization, and you guys are all leaders in one way or another. And your job is to equip your team, right? You equip your team with the tools on how they can be able to be better leaders, be better, you know, individuals, get better at. So here's the different steps on, you know, how does a leader equip people to do their work and succeed at it? The best method I've ever found is in 5 steps of the equipping process. And here's how it works. It's in step 1, I do it. And then step 2 is I do it and you are with me. And then step 3 is you do it and I am with you. And step 4 is you do it. And then step 5 is you do it and someone is with you. That's duplication. So step 1 is competence. Step 2 is demonstration. Step 3 is coaching. Step 4 is empowerment. And step 5 is reproduction, duplication. Right? So those are the 5 different steps to equipping the people on your team and the people you work with to help them succeed. Is I do it. Step 2, I do it and you are with me. And then step 3 is you do it and I'm with you. Step 4 is you do it. And then step 5, you do it and someone is with you. Right? So if you are duplicating, or if you're not sharing or equipping the people that you work with and helping to develop them and teach them how to lead well, then you're not doing your job as a trainer, as a leader, as a business owner. Your job is to equip them. And you need to have the right tools to equip them. You don't want to enable people. You want to help empower them, right? Talked about that on different level. I think it was level 3, level 4. Level 4 is empowering them. So I hope that was helpful for all of you guys. And I challenge each of you guys to get that self-confidence formula, implement it into your life, because confidence is key. In this business, people can read that. If you're talking to people about this business, Renatus, and how it'll change their business, or velocity banking, or taxes, I don't care what it is. If you don't have confidence, people see right through you. If you don't know that. And identifying that in yourself and reading this every day will develop that self-confidence. Self-confidence is key. and you get results from confidence. So if you lack confidence in your business, go and print out a couple copies of that self-confidence formula. Start saying it out loud. There's something different and something that happens when you start doing something different daily. You get something, that momentum starts to pick up. When that momentum starts to pick up, people are attracted to you. I was listening to Ty Lopez and how he says we're vibrational beings. Everything, people get started because of your vibration. You either repel them or you attract them. And what you put in your mind is going to attract the right people. What you read out loud and what you put out into the universe is going to bring the right people into your organization. You want to have better people on your team, you become better first. Right? So I hope that was helpful. If anybody else has any questions, I have 1 more minute and then I'm going to wrap it up and then you guys can get started with your day.
Thank you, Lonnie.
You're welcome. I want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for the opportunity, Ron, for being able to train for you guys this morning. It's been a while, but always grateful to give and to add value to all of you folks on the call. So thank you guys for being consistent and showing up on these calls, getting trained in the morning. This is part of your process of growth. I'm proud of each and every one of you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Other than that, guys, that's all for today.
Thanks, Lonnie.
You're welcome.